تفضلوا يا رنا والهيثم. وشكرا لكم يا شباب.
Thank you, Basim. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. We appreciate your presence and your patience.
We reach now the final part of our long process and the incredibly worthwhile and enriching meeting we had over the 2 full days.
So we are Rana and Haytham. We are members of the Youth Advisory Group. We will moderate this closing session and offer a few reflections along the way.
Besides, we will present the priorities and commitments, reveal of call to action, message from the Youth Envoy, a recap of the key takeaways from us, the young people, and the final words from the UNFPA Director.
And now, it's time for sharing the priorities of national delegations. Countries' priorities will be presented by alphabetically. At first, we will start with Algeria.
As for Algeria, strengthening the involvement of companies in apprenticeship training, establish the right to unemployment benefit for young first-time job seekers aged between 19 and 40, set up a national reference system of crafts and jobs which will be called the Algerian Nomenclature of Trades and Jobs, establish the right to business creation, leave as well as the modalities of its application, promote entrepreneurship for job seekers, a culture of entrepreneurship in schools, and reschedule credit and debt repayments for micro-enterprises to promote entrepreneurship. Rescheduling of credit and debt repayments for micro-enterprises in difficulty as part of the national strategy to promote entrepreneurship, promote women's entrepreneurship, promote the learning of scientific and technological subjects to encourage scientific careers, extend the digital classroom to all primary schools to encourage the use of information and communication technology and consolidate learning and to reduce the weight of school bags of primary school pupils. We ask all the national delegations of Algeria to kindly stand up for an applause.
Then we pass to Djibouti. Djibouti will make Community Development Center available as a local training center, allowing young people to obtain information on new market opportunities, professional integration, procedure and opportunities. Promote vocational training, facilitate volunteers, placement, and 1,500 internship and apprenticeship. Is promotion profession for young people without qualification. Establish a partnership for development in the cultural economic. Organize forums to promote trade. Promote and improve access to vocational training and establish a bridge between training structures and the university. Ensure that the relevance and the quality of training integrate compound on preparation of training programs and strengthen work studies training. Please, I'm asking the delegation of Djibouti to stand up and let's clap for them.
Kindly apologize that we are reading them, but these are the commitments and should be read word by word. As for Egypt, Egypt commits to, by the year 2027, 13 million young people, 46% of the youth population in Egypt, are in secondary education, trained, decently employed with entrepreneurship opportunities, or positively engaged in their society. This will be achieved through the following sub-commitments. 1. Reform the secondary education system under Education 2.0, benefiting 5 million students, including improving alignment between education and the workforce, jobs of the future, and green jobs. 2. Provide training, skilling, and engagement opportunities for 5.962 million youth to have decent work opportunities or become entrepreneurs. 3. Provide digital learning and digital accessibility to 2 million youth focusing on financial literacy, life skills, climate change, and gender equality. Let's clap for Egypt.
Then we'll pass to Iraq. The suggested commitment of Iraq are, by 2024, strengthen the job matching program to attract and facilitate access for skilled labor and requirement of highly skilled labor. By 2024, an educational excellence program is developed covering 3 components. 1, a school leadership development program to enhance school principal effectiveness. 2, improving teacher skills and enhancing curricula and adding entrepreneurship development comprehensive sexual education and STM education component. And 3, improve school management. By 2024, more young people have acquired market-relevant skills needed to secure, retain, and thrive a decent work through update vocational and formal training programs that will market needs. By 2024, access to entrepreneurship opportunities and financial resources are expanded. By 2024, a coordination mechanism with participants of youth network put into place to address multi-sectorial issues and the policies around learning to earning. Please, let's clap for Iraq.
And now it's time for Jordan. Jordan commits to, by 2024, increase the number of youth and adults with technical and life skills compatible with the needs of the market for jobs and entrepreneurship. The goal is to ensure that 16,000 young people are enrolled in the TVET by 2024, with a 70% employment rate for the TVET graduates. Facilitate transition to work for young women and young people with disabilities through active labor market policies, linking girls and young women with workplace-based learning opportunities, providing access to mentorship and role models, and addressing existing barriers. The aim is to create at least 120,000 job opportunities, of which 35% of them are females. Promote a gender-sensitive youth entrepreneurship, supporting thousands of small and medium-sized enterprises technically and financially, and to conduct feasibility studies. Ladies and gentlemen, let's clap for Jordan delegates.
Kuwait commits to build and support a culture of excellence and creativity among young people of age 7 to 18 years old through non-formal learning in this area: science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Empowering high school graduates to study in a merit university abroad. Arise a caliber of scholarship programs and direct students to study discipline needs in the labor market. Identify and secure opportunities for Kuwaitis in different labor markets. Stalker and empower them needed skilled each and job training to ensure success in the labor market. Incubate a new and sensitive young entrepreneur with the required skills to create and grow business opportunity, as well as further develop a role of the private sector and entrepreneurial sense. Let's clap for Kuwait. Then we have Lebanon. The commitment about Lebanon is implementation of the National Youth Policy Action. Commit to improve the linkages between education and the labor market through adopting a national strategy framework for TVET and establishing supportive partnership between the private sector, the public sector, and the young people. Commit to develop a national gender-sensitive employment policy through three-party participation that supports employment, economic participation, and social integration. Let's clap for Lebanon.
As for Libya, Libya is committed to reviewing the curricula of vocational training to ensure it's up-to-date and responsive to the Libyan market. Ensure that educational outcomes correspond to the labor market demands in Libya. In partnership with universities, the government will support young people to gain skills and knowledge needed for foster entrepreneurship in the country. Establish partnerships between relevant ministries, civil society, and the private sector to implement a series of training and development programs for younger job seekers and recent graduates for skill development and job placement. Let's clap for Libya. As for Morocco, Morocco by 2027 facilitate equal and inclusive access for younger people to quality, adapted and flexible education and training opportunities, allowing better integration into working life while strengthening transversal skills, especially for the most vulnerable. By 2027, guarantee decent, inclusive and sustainable work for 1 million young people with a focus on young women, in particular by facilitating access to first employment or entrepreneurship. By 2027, strengthen monitoring to anticipate the needs of the labor market and the professions of the future while ensuring equal and inclusive access. By 2027, improve health, safety, social protection, prevention of violence against women in the workplace, and promote a favorable business climate. A big clap for Morocco.
Moroccan delegation. Now we pass to Oman. Oman commit to facilitate equal and exclusive access for young people in the education and training opportunities while developing youth skills, establishing 8 youth centers for entrepreneurship, building capacities and support the establishment of startup projects of young people by 2023. Develop a national strategy for youth in 2023. Establish a training for youth to have decent work opportunities and to become business pioneer. To secure more and flexible opportunities for parts of the job for youth. Let's clap for Oman.
As for the commitments of the Palestinian delegates, create volunteerism and community service opportunities for 30,000 young women and men and provide employable skills so they may access job opportunities in Palestine and beyond. Through the Young Coding Program, equip young graduates with skills and connections aligned with Palestinian and international labor market needs. Enhance access to technical and financial support for youth-led MSMEs via the National Help Desk Scheme, which delivers services through a website and physical offices located in the Chamber of Commerce across the Palestine. Strengthen coordination and partnerships to support the integration of Palestinian fresh graduates and unemployed youth in the labor market by establishing synergies among sectors most relevant to younger people's employment. At least 5,000 fresh graduates per year will be placed in on-the-job trainings and internships. We clap for the delegation of Palestine.
Qatar commit to endorse and implementation of the National Youth Policy by 2024, ensuring that young people are fully engaged in the implementation of the policy to empower them and to promote them to decent market capacity by the Ministry of Sports and Youth. All youth centers in Qatar are democratically elected by young representatives through genius elections by 2024 by the Minister of Youth and Sport. Invest in implementation of 2 capacity building programs for young people, regional and international, to building key skills for personal development and active citizenship by 2023 by generating amazing supreme commitment for the delivery and legacy. Promote innovative with youth employment through a public-private partnership specifically targeting women and young people to access formal and informal education program and acquiring digitalizing skills to approach that provide sustainable development opportunities Qatar found for development. Support 7 million children and youth around the MENA region in case quality learning and education with a focus on the most vulnerable children by education above all. A scale-up access to economic opportunities through a job placement and enterprise development for young persons in the Middle East, Africa, Asia, for 2 to 5 million women and children and made by children. Let's clap for Qatar.
As for Somalia's commitments, prioritize mental health, the development of cognitive, emotional, and spiritual strength for positive relationships and social well-being. Support community centers to provide literacy and numeracy skills to out-of-school youth. Develop market assessment of supply and demand of jobs. Mainstream youth engagement in productive sectors, including agriculture and the blue economy. Foster youth entrepreneurship and remote female entrepreneurship through training, mentorship, and business incubation. Scale up innovative financial packages that provide incentives for youth entrepreneurship. Promote youth innovation and engagement in the digital economy through ICT. Establish the National Employment Council and rebuild TVET. A big clap for Somalia's delegation.
Syria will establish the labor market information system and facilitate youth access to labor market and align educational and training with the labor market's needs. Enhancing training and capacity building programs for newcomers to the labor markets. Let's clap for Syria.
It's the turn now for Tunisia. First commitment, by the end of 2023, a national multi-sectoral policy defining the framework for the Second Chance Education Program will be finalized and adopted. The second commitment, a redesigned training system for youth and a renewed and efficient apprenticeship system, in particular the most marginalized youth, will be put in place. In addition, by the end of 2023, the pilot second-generation youth centers will integrate entrepreneurship spaces which instill a culture of social entrepreneurship to young people and support young entrepreneurs in taking their first steps towards starting their own sustainable businesses. The third and last commitment, a national multi-sectoral youth policy is elaborated based on the data collection on young people's needs towards public institutions and policies through an innovative system. By 2023, it is backed by a multi-actors coordination platform, a national youth code, as well as implementation, monitoring, and resource mobilization strategies and tools. The existing national strategies on employment and entrepreneurship with a focus on the opportunities offered by the social and solidarity economy for younger people in the most disadvantaged regions are aligned on the national youth policy and implemented jointly by the relevant stakeholders. Let's clap for Tunisia's delegation.
Then we'll pass to Yemen. Yemen will establish youth center for entrepreneurship building capacities and providing pioneer legal and social support. Rehabilitating technical, vocational and industrial center institute targeting young people. Review technical education and vocational training policies and the curricula and linking them to an apprenticeship system to keep pace with the changing in the Yemenis labor market. Develop an information system of the labor market and business incubation that supports youth to enhance a knowledge of employment requirement. Develop policies and procedures for financing and establishing a startup project for young people. Provide and enabling environment for microeconomic development, especially in small and medium enterprise, livelihood activities, employment and decent work by finding financial channel, supporting business incubator, ending double taxing obstacles and supporting young people and girls to enroll entrepreneurship programs, establishing a coordination mechanism to the transition for young people from the learning to earning and ensuring participation of young people in the forming of relevant policies. Let's clap for Yemen.
Wow, that was really incredible. Thank you so much for this rich, important, and needed priorities. And we wish they be considered in real and as they address the transition from learning to earning.
This high-level meeting is an urgent call to action to address one of the key challenges identified by young people across the region. These priorities are identified as a solution to action forward.
And now you are all asked to see the video message from the UN Secretary General Youth Envoy, who serves as a global advocate for addressing the needs and rights of younger people. As a younger person herself, Jayathma Wickramanayake was appointed by the UN Secretary General in 2017.
Thank you.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, fellow young people, it is my pleasure to participate in the Arab region high-level meeting on young people's learning, skilling, social inclusion, and transition to decent work. There are currently 1.2 billion young people worldwide, most of whom live in developing countries. Being a young person today comes with a unique set of opportunities, like being the most interconnected and educated generation of youth ever, but also complex and multifaceted challenges, including COVID-19, the climate crisis, rising inequalities, ongoing conflicts, and more. With over 2 years since the onset of the pandemic, and as we continue to rebuild and recover, it is imperative to keep in mind how young people were and continue to be impacted by it. At the peak of the pandemic, 1.5 billion children and young people were affected by school and university closures. Moreover, although much of the world shifted its work online during that period, 1.2 billion children and young people, or 2/3 of people aged 25 years or less, do not have an internet connection at home. The pandemic also negatively impacted young people's labor market insertion, leading to job losses and a reduction in working hours. In 2020 alone, youth employment fell by 8.7% worldwide. The long-term impacts of these disruptions continue to disproportionately affect young people who were already marginalized and vulnerable before the pandemic, including young women and girls, young persons with disabilities, young refugees, migrants, indigenous youth, and many more. Young women and girls who already faced barriers to fully accessing quality education, training, and decent work before COVID-19, including due to gender-based violence, gender norms and stereotypes, safety concerns, and lack of access to control over their own fertility, were particularly affected. Youth today, more than any other generation before, cannot wait for incremental change. We need transformational change, which must be systemic, long-term, and ultimately lead to disrupting the status quo. To achieve it, education is key. However, business as usual in education is not enough anymore. We must transform education and education systems to ensure every young person is empowered to reach their fullest potential, leaving no one behind. This is why in our Common Agenda report, the UN Secretary General called for a Transforming Education Summit to be held in September this year. I encourage everyone here today to be involved in this important process, particularly by hosting national consultations on what transforming education looks like and how it will be and it should be achieved. To truly transform education, young people must be engaged in a meaningful, diverse, and effective manner in all decision-making affecting their lives, livelihoods, and futures. Youth must work alongside their governments, academia, civil society, the private sector, and international organizations like the UN as full-fledged partners and not only beneficiaries. I call on governments to engage young people in the scope of the Transforming Education Summit national consultations that will be held in their countries. At the UN, the roadmap of action in working with and for young people is the UN system-wide youth strategy, Youth 2030, which recently published its second progress report. I encourage everyone to use these tools to shift towards meaningful youth engagement at all levels. Today, global leaders, individuals, and organizations alike are comfortable talking about the role of youth as agents of positive change in achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. But we must move beyond promises towards action, concrete commitments, and dedicated resources. I call on everyone here today, especially government representatives, to commit and deliver on this meeting's call to action and work with and for young people every step of the way. Decent work. I thank UNFPA for the kind invitation. There are currently 1.2 billion young people worldwide, most of whom live in developing countries. Being a young person today comes with a unique set of opportunities, like being the most interconnected and educated generation of youth ever, but also complex and multifaceted challenges, including COVID-19, the climate crisis, rising inequalities, ongoing conflicts, and more. With over 2 years since the onset
The call to action of this high-level meeting participant represents our common priorities to addressing to transition from learning to earning.
So the call to action outlines language already on prior occasions agreed by member states related to the topic of this high-level meeting and will help us to hold collectively accountable to progress and priorities.
This is how we start. We would like to invite you to join us to the call action, and we will read just 4 action points that we are point 7, 11, 12, 13, and 14 in the call action. We commit to work together under the leadership of the government in the Arab region to ensure that the rights of young people in decent work are fulfilled through effective policies and the program that remove barriers and generate stable, safe, and secure and non-discriminatory employment and opportunities for career development through employment support services with special attention to gender.
Accelerating and investing in national multi-sectoral policies and programs designed to empower young people, address their specific needs, and prioritizing education, market-relevant skills, including life skills, lifelong learning, and decent employment and entrepreneurship of young men and women, especially for the most at risk of being left behind.
Accelerating and investing in job creation and promoting policies that ensure job-rich growth, stimulating private sector development creation, investment-friendly and gender-responsive microeconomic conditions, and streamlined regulation to improve business environment and expanded access to credit for young men and women, the most disadvantaged social group.
Encouraging and promoting and resourcing effective public, private, young people, and civil society partnerships, building on global, regional, and national experiences to support the design and implementation of at-scale national gender-responsive policies and programs.
We further commit to review progress against our region and voluntary national commitments made in this high-level meeting on an annual basis, cognizant and the importance of the above-mentioned partnership and limited in the partnership with the United Nations in moving to agenda forward.
So, you heard all the commitments and the call to action. Are you committed now? Great to see you. And now we will provide you a recap of the whole event by sharing key messages from the high-level meeting sessions that were collected by the reporters of the members of the Youth Advisory Group. I will be sharing the most 2 important ideas on different topics. For the education sector, developing the educational curricula and focusing on the skills development, educational projects and policies should be youth-friendly, reflecting their needs and aspirations. As for the labor market, the importance of securing an appropriate work environment, focusing on protections and legislation, the importance of integrating technology with the required resources. For the entrepreneurship, cooperation and exchange of experiences and the creation of entrepreneurship opportunities, inclusion of entrepreneurship skills in the educational curriculum. For the volunteerism, ensuring volunteering skills correspond to the ones favored by the stakeholders. Volunteerism should be recognized as a valuable work experience. For the green jobs, to have positive impact on employment, government will need to embrace a policy approach that stimulates investment in green industry. Creating job opportunities in the green economy requires support services that will make the sector productive and attractive to the young people. For the gender barriers, we need to empower adolescents with specific attention to gender barriers and ensuring social responsibility, empower young women and men, and engage the women in the policy making. The common ideas were we all agreed on the importance of cooperation between the private and the public sectors to develop the educational sector and work. All sectors and stakeholders must be involved in the sustainability of projects and work together to support all the younger people, especially the displaced ones and those with disabilities.
Last but not least, we would like to invite the UNFP Regional Director of Arab States, Dr. UNICEFmena, to come to the stage for presenting the final word on behalf of the ILO, UNFPA, UNICEF, and UNDP. And thank you for everyone. We wish you to have a safe trip back home. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum. Is it okay to speak in Arabic? Do we have translation? Okay. الحقيقة زملائي حضروا لي talking points بس اللي حكوا كتار وبالتالي أنا سأتوقف عند 3 كلمات مفتاحية. الكلمة الأولى هي الالتزام. لاحظنا ب 250 مشارك قمة الالتزام الحكومي تجاه أجندة الشباب. شكراً لكم معالي الوزراء وللحكومات العربية على هذا الالتزام. القيادة هي للشباب. شكراً لكم على الطاقة الإيجابية التي أوجدتموها خلال هذا النقاش. نحن في يوم تاريخي، لم يكن جزء كبير منا يحلم أن نلتقي ثانية بعد كوفيد في مثل هذا اللقاء، وأن يكون لدينا هذه الطاقة الإيجابية نحو العمل معا على أجندة مهمة جدا، هي أجندة الشباب من التعلم للعمل، التعلم بمفهومه الواسع، تعليم رسمي غير رسمي، مهارات حياتية، كل ما يتعلق بالنمو الجسدي، كل ما يتعلق بالصحة العقلية والصحة النفسية، ليكون الشاب والشابة عنصراً فاعلاً تجاه نفسه وتجاه مجتمعه. شكراً لكم أيها الشباب. الكلمة الثالثة: معاً نستطيع. قطاع خاص، متحدة، حكومات، شباب، هذه الأجندة هي أجندة كل شخص فينا، وهي الأجندة المشتركة، وهي أيضاً من أجندة الأمين العام للأمم المتحدة. وبالتالي نحن نلتزم بأن نعمل معاً، نلتزم أن كمنظمات يونيسف، ILO، UNDP وUNFPA أننا سندعو أيضاً منظمات أخرى للانضمام إلى هذا الركب لنعمل معاً من أجل أجندة الشباب في هذه المنطقة، ولإيجاد تغيير إيجابي نحو شباب يتمتع بحقوقه، ونحو عالم عربي وشرق أوسط وشمال أفريقيا موائم للشباب يحمي حقوقه ويعززها. شكراً لكم جميعاً. شكراً لكل من ساهم في هذا العمل منذ سنة تقريباً، وفرقنا تعمل ليل نهار. شكراً لكل من ساهم في الجوانب الفنية، في الجوانب اللوجستية، الترجمة التي ساعدتنا على التواصل مع بعضنا. شكراً لكم جميعاً. أتمنى لكم رحلة سعيدة لبلدانكم كما اتفقنا في الاجتماع مع رؤساء الوفود. هذه بداية، إذن من هنا نطلق بداية العمل نحو أجندة مشتركة للشباب في منطقتنا. شكراً لكم.